This is called random selection. Fleur had been perfectly content. She had a job that she absolutely loved. Two completely distinct social circles, the girls from the salon and her old mates from school. And for the last 6 months had been sharing a ground floor flat on the edge of a new build development complex with her apprentice footballer boyfriend, Brian. She was proud to have achieved so much more in her first 20 years than her parents had achieved in 40. Brian even had a car. And as a step up from her mother's high-rise window box, they had a slabbed area beside their front door with four large pots on it that she and Brian liked to call their garden. When she wasn't out clubbing with Brian or her mates, Fleur liked to watch the television. She followed her soaps religiously, gobbling up the intricacies of the characters' fictional lives with the same zealous fervour with which she so completely devoured her other great passion, the celebrity gossip magazines. She was a great reader. Not much got past Fleur. She had her finger on the pulse. She knew how it all knitted together. She knew what life was all about, and she loved nothing more than to yak endlessly to anybody who stood close enough to her for long enough about who was doing what to whom behind whose back. Fleur knew where she stood. She knew what was going on in the world. She knew exactly what to buy and where to buy it from because the adverts kept her up to date. But she didn't know everything. She didn't know all the boring stuff that happened to other people whom she didn't know and who led weird lives in countries that she couldn't point to on a map and who didn't even have televisions or magazines. She didn't read those bits in her newspaper. She just stuck to the important bits and the adverts. She did like her adverts. The adverts gave her mind a chance to catch its breath between ideas. One of the things that Fleur didn't know about was the existence of aliens. And so when she got abducted one night, whilst walking home from the salon, she found herself utterly flummoxed and for once completely lost for words. The aliens in question had been attracted to Earth after unexpectedly picking up a series of random transmissions as they coasted past the outer planets of the solar system on their way to a party. Curious, as their galactic sat-nav seemed convinced that there was no sentient life on any of the 10 planets of this system, they chose a continent and a life sign at random and sent down a transmat beam to extract it. The transmissions that had been beaming out into space had been quite unintelligible, even after their translation software had converted the score into standard, leading the visitors to presume that a society must have evolved here so cut off from the rest of civilization that it could have developed an entirely unique technology. Fleur woke up to find herself naked and strapped spread eagle to a table with two huge cat-like things in spangly suits staring down at her. They shot questions at her like her friend Marnie did on a Tuesday morning if she'd missed the previous evening's edition of the soaps. They spoke fairly good English for cats, she thought, but she hadn't a clue what they're going on about. It was all socio-politico this and eco-techno that, none of which she knew anything about. Eventually, they showed her what they said were some random transmissions that they had picked up from space and asked if she could interpret them. Could she? So she filled them in on the last 10 years worth of soap storylines, reality shows and advertising campaigns as they stood silently above her. When she'd finished, they returned her clothes in silence and set her back down where they found her. As they left the system, they dropped a marker buoy into orbit as a warning to other shortcutters that the planet below was some kind of long-lost asylum colony that should be avoided at all costs for the sake of sanity. Fleur, on the other hand, put the whole experience down to a spiked Bacardi Breezer.